Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Psychic Kitchen podcast. You can find us on Spotify. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. Let me turn the volume a little bit.
Good. Hello, everyone. We're back.
We are back. We are back. So, how you doing today, Jimmy?
Yeah, good. Been raining a lot today, so which is all right, I suppose. It's needed, I guess. How about you?
Very good. You know, lots of stuff happening at once, but it's life, isn't it?
Mm,
That's part of life.
indeed. Are you still in the same hotel?
Yes, I will be moving in about 4 days.
Oh.
In about
Can
4
never
days.
tell. I can't go by what your background picture is because it's the same in every hotel.
Exactly. No one knows where to find me.
Yeah.
That's it to me.
Hey,
Anyways, today, everyone. I've noticed a running theme, Jimmy, that people are talking about money and like they're feeling a lot of really hard energies coming in lately.
mm,
I've seen
a
it
lot.
from quite a few people. What's your
Mm.
thoughts on that?
Um, I feel like there seems to be a lot more pressure, shall we say, on everyone, me included. Obviously, I don't think necessarily. I think the majority of people are not excluded from this. They don't necessarily live, shall we say, comfortably, and have more money than that they need. And so I feel like it's just a lot of pressure. And what with a lot of the so-called inflation or what have you, the prices of everything rising, food, etc., energy, then it's understandable that people are sort of thinking about it more than maybe ever before. So it's a difficult one, um, but I feel like everything will be okay in the end. Although we we're feeling very uncomfortable at the moment,
Yeah,
and but then again, I suppose as the saying goes, you don't move, you don't grow unless you get uncomfortable. But it depends um, on how uncomfortable you want to get.
yeah. I mean that is true. Is I feel that people are how would I say it? I just feel like people are so used to certain comforts, and then when those comforts change, I kind of thrive on being uncomfortable. There's a side of me that's very comfortable that loves that, and there's a side of me that doesn't love that.
Yeah.
So I don't. I get it. I mean, I do get it in my own way. I mean, I know everything will be fine. I can feel it. But I had someone message me today that was a friend of mine in Louisiana, and they were like, "The energy is like, what do you think? Like, it feels like it's so like strong. Like something's gonna happen."
Hmm.
And I
That
was
does.
like, "Yeah." I was like, "Interesting." She's like, "What are your thoughts on that?" And I was like, I recorded a message, but I was like, I need to erase that, redo that. But yeah, it's just it's a lot. It's a lot. So I know the Schumann resonance was really high. I know we've had solar flares coming in.
Hmm.
That's been hitting people. So I think that's part of it too. Is like
Hmm.
we're getting upgrades, we're getting other things are happening to us. I'm hearing our shadows are being exposed to ourselves.
Hmm. Uncomfortableness.
Yeah, so like even the parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at are being exposed. So we're looking at that and we're like,
Hmm.
what's going on here? What's going
Hmm.
on? So yeah, it's been very interesting to me. I love patterns. Like for me,
Hmm.
patterns are beautiful. So I'm always studying patterns of things. Even like subconsciously, I'm studying them. And I'm like, why is this pattern happening? And why is this pattern happening? And why is this happening? So yeah, I'm not really sure, but it seems just interesting to me that
Hmm.
because I mean I felt this way like I don't think we realize how far we've come as people.
Hmm.
I don't think we give ourselves individually enough credit.
Yeah, that's true.
If I were to look back 2 years ago and then to look back to now,
Hmm.
I'm like, holy shit! Like I
Hmm.
couldn't even afford a hotel.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm fine. So I'm like, okay, like I don't know. I
Depends.
say that go ahead, man. Sorry.
No, you go. No, you go. It's all right.
I feel like it's like we have a roof over our head. We can eat. Yeah, we might have to buy cheaper food. I might have to go to Aldi. I don't know if you've heard of Aldi. It's German.
We have them here.
Yeah, but I can buy enough groceries for 2 weeks for like $60.
Mm.
So like, and I'm fine,
Mm.
you know. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. As long as your sort of your basic needs are met.
Yeah.
And obviously, not everyone's basic needs are always met. Obviously, everyone's in a different situation, and I think it depends on your your normal level of comfortability is and what you're used to. Because those, as a friend of mine says, those who are used to living sort of on a shoestring, living in poverty, shall we say, without not having disposable income and just making enough, and sometimes not even making enough, when if hard times do hit and there's a recession and all of that, then they won't necessarily be affected because they're used to living in sort of in that circumstance, shall we say. And so it all depends on kind of if you're willing to, how quickly or how easily you're willing to let go of the luxuries that you're used to. So and she makes a good point. And if you're used to just buying whatever you want whenever you want, and then all of a sudden you can't, that's not may not necessarily be easy for someone to adjust to that. But for those who can't do that, it's not going to necessarily be as hard. But I mean, there are obviously, if depends what civilization, I guess, as well. If you live in a country or in a community that doesn't necessarily have money or is used to having a lot of money, then things are not necessarily going to be affected. But it depends on the situation, I suppose. And you could see it as the situation is purposely making most people uncomfortable, and you can kind of see that as a positive thing in a sense, although I'm not saying most, some people will see that as a bad thing because they're having their luxuries taken away or their comfort and ease taken away. But if you sort of turn it on its head and you look at what is almost forcing people to do is to maybe grow their own fruit and vegetables, make their own clothes, repair their own clothes, make their own toothpaste, shampoo, all of that kind of stuff. Sort of almost offering people the chance to learn nature's way instead of having everything provided, which is what most of us are used to, if you see what I mean.
It's like a friend of mine. He's always thinks the world's ending. And we were sitting in a steakhouse we go to on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, last time I checked, man, he's like, the world's crashing. And I was like, we drove here, didn't we? Like, we're in this restaurant with people. I was like, when I can't drive on the road, I feel like then you might have a point. You need some kind of curfew or something. Then, like when COVID happened, lockdowns happened. But yeah, I'm like, I can kind of see where you're going with this, but I don't know. In 2008, this happened, or something similar, I'm hearing. So a lot of people were freaking out, and I was working a full-time job. I wasn't really affected. I was like, I don't really understand what they're talking about. Like, I have a paycheck. I go to work every day. So I get it now, but I don't get it too. I don't know. I think you just have to show up, because I see some people, they'll make side hustles. I mean, I'm sure you look at TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Reels and stuff. So like, I see people there making like the dumbest videos on earth, and they're making all this money of like a dog in a backpack and some guy singing going down the escalator, and it got like 1 million likes. And I'm just like, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing here on social media. Maybe I need to be doing different kinds of videos.
I guess it depends on what you sort of. I saw you did a TikTok. I watched it earlier about about authenticity. Stay in your authenticity, and so whatever content you want to create, if it's stupid stuff like what you've just said, if that's someone's authentic expression is, then fair enough. But
Yeah.
is it worth compromising your authenticity just to make money, just to do the things that you know people are gonna sort of go for and go viral or make it popular? Is that worth compromising yourself, your authenticity, your uniqueness, just for that purpose? And you know, everyone's got a different answer. Well, I mean, most people have got a different answer for that. Some people are willing to do it, and some people aren't. And there's not necessarily a right or wrong way to do it, but well, I mean, I prefer to go the authentic route. But you know, I'm not saying that someone who doesn't.
I think you just make it a little different. So
Mm.
I've had this thing about not doing tarot videos, like all these that go viral.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, what if instead of like, this is why your relationship fell apart? I mean, this is how I would do it because it would be authentic to me. Be like,
Mm.
this is why your boyfriend cheated on you.
Mm.
And I just pop it up the same way, like the same exact structure of all the videos that go viral, but it would be so like different
Mm.
than the form.
Mm.
Like, this is why your boyfriend got this girl pregnant. Like, it would be so crazy.
Yeah.
But they'd be like, what the fuck?
Would
But
it
that
be?
would be authentic to me.
Yeah. Would it be like the Thomas of 3 years ago, say, where you would just
I've,
say
I,
it?
I've had this idea. I've kind of been leaning a little bit back into this. So I've had a lot of people tell me, they're like, you've gotten so much more calm in the last like 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, okay, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
But I'm
no.
like, maybe bring that person back a little bit.
Like merge. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's kind of like almost you go one way and then you go the other way, and then you find where the sort of the balance is in the middle, so you can all incorporate a bit of both, but still, so you're not too extreme. You're not going to extremes. You're finding the neutral ground almost, and doing a little bit of everything almost. But yeah, I like that. So I'll just say hello to a few people. Hey Bob, hey Simone, hey Paula, hey Dawn, hey Skylar, Foofy and Rose and Brittany. So yeah, so just saying hello to everyone. If anyone's got any questions or anything, let us know. We'll pretty much talk about anything. So yeah, feel free to put them in the chat if you've got any questions or any subjects you want us to discuss, and we'll see what we can do. But so you're thinking about sort of bringing back the old Thomas a little bit?
Yeah, just kind of merge it a little bit. It's in my astrology. I'm a shapeshifter. So I don't know what that means, but it just means I change my shape depending on what the situation calls for, which I do with clients a lot too. So sometimes I got to be really hard. Sometimes I got to be really gentle. Sometimes I got to be a little more bombastic with them to get the point across. So I'm not giving any client confidentiality away, but essentially someone saw me the last few days and I was like, they were like, well, this is happening and this is happening. I go, how's that working out for you? Like, how's that working out for you? Just tell me. They're like, well, and I'm like, exactly my point. Like, you can keep telling me excuses all day long, but how is it working out for you? Do you want to be in the same place? Or maybe this is just that you're getting uncomfortable. Maybe that's what the universe is shifting you into. like become uncomfortable, because there's a part of your brain, I said it last time, there's a part of your brain that grows when you're uncomfortable. It's been scientifically proven. I forget which part, but it grows
Mm,
when you're comfortable and put
mm,
into uncomfortable situations.
mm,
So it's like, why not? I mean, it's
mm.
like, dude, I have this weekend on Sunday, I have a meetup with a mushroom church. It's
Excellent.
like I was when my friend told me this, I was like, I have to go to this. This sounds so insane. So
Mm,
I was like, it's going to be a hike, like a 5 mile hike, and you talk about spirituality. They're looking for practitioners. It's a mushroom church. So I know in America, I think in
mm,
certain states, if they pay a certain, they're a church, so they're protected. Like they
mm,
can give you that kind of stuff. I'm not telling people to go take that, but what I'm saying is that, like, I was like, why not? Like, I
mm,
want to go. Like, I want to
mm,
see what happened. It's a 5 mile hike. That's pretty far. But I mean, I usually hike like a mile a day. But I was like, okay. Yeah, this will be beautiful. A mushroom church. I get to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about psychic stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been taking, Fly Garrick, Amanita muscaria, a mushroom. The red one with the white dots, the quintessential Super Mario mushroom, sort of the
Okay.
quintessential mushroom, the red cap and the white dots. I've been microdosing that for
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks, maybe longer than that. I forget. Um, Obviously, it hasn't worked on my memory, but I found out yesterday from a sort of a mushroom specialist, shall we say, that I'm not sure if it just applies to that one or if it applies to a lot of mushrooms, especially the sort of the psychoactive ones, because the Amanita muscaria mushroom, it doesn't have the psilocybin or psilocybin. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it can be poisonous if you don't sort of prepare it correctly. But doesn't have this sort of the
Psychoactive.
psychedelic, yeah, psychoactive, psychedelic inducing properties that magic mushrooms and other stuff like that have today. Um, but you need to, if anyone, obviously feel free to research this or whatever. Don't just take my word for it. But the person who was speaking to yesterday, he said basically that certain mushrooms need to be heated in order for them to be beneficial. Otherwise, the ingredients or the nutrients or whatever you call it in them don't get activated and they remain dormant. And so you might as well not take them. So you can just have them with a cup of tea or coffee or what have you, and the heat from that will help activate the stuff inside the mushroom that makes it beneficial, which I found quite useful to know. Basically because I've been taking it for 2 or 3 weeks without doing that, and which is probably why I hadn't necessarily felt any effects. But then again, at the same time, he said that they're not the sort of effects that you would say be conscious of in a sense, because they work at a deeper level. It's not like you take something then you start seeing things, or you you feel something extra, or you have what they for magic mushrooms, they're things that work sort of below the surface, and they're very subtle in the way that they operate apparently. So but I mean that they're the only mushrooms that I've taken, really. So I think I did have some magic mushrooms once. I just remember laughing a lot.
My friend, did I tell you the story about my friend when he took him and talked to aliens?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So this was my friend's going through, he might watch this, so be careful. But the point is that I don't want to say too much, is that
Mm,
essentially like he's kind of having a breakthrough right now and he needed a breakthrough. So I'm not recommending anyone to do this. I'm not a doctor. So anyways, but he took 6 capsules of mushrooms, and long story short, like it took about 3.5 hours to kick in. Now I've taken magic mushrooms. I've never heard of that taking that long,
mm,
especially that kind of dosage.
that's a long
But
time.
at one point he was going to like puke, And the guy was like, his friend who had them was like, no, you can't puke. Like, you'll ruin the whole thing. So he stopped himself from puking. And then he had a thing over his head and eyes because the guy who does it has a lot of money. And he's in a bed and all this stuff, or like a table, I don't know. But he went to a spaceship and he started talking to these spaceships guys, the aliens, and the aliens were like, why? They go, why do you think we took away your job? And he was like, what? He goes, you're supposed to write your second book. You haven't written your second book. His first book, man, I mean, he's got like 1 million views on YouTube. He's got a lot of, he's been on popular, like YouTube podcasts, like really popular ones. And so they were like, you need to like, they go basically about his parents. They're like, because everyone's got issues with one of their parents probably. So like, he's like, your parents are just avatars. They just agreed to have you come into this life. But he was like, oh, and they're like, so then he had to go to a spiritual advisor of his, and the spiritual advisor was like, you have till November to write your book, or they're going to take away your blessings. He's very blessed. He's very anointed, if you want to call it that. And I don't think they're going to take away his blessings or his anointment or whatever. But the point is that, or God will, or anything like that. But still, it's like a kick in the ass. So he's been stressed out. Everyone's been stressed out. So, yeah, it's just part of the process, I feel. And I actually, it was a couple days ago, I was having some gut issues, and I went to a spaceship. I didn't take anything though.
All right.
Make some trees, but yeah, I was just a little bit. And I went to a spaceship, and they were working on like my guts and my heart. It was really interesting. Like I was like, what on earth is happening? But I was like, okay, they were like, just go with it, Thomas, just go with it. And there were these green aliens. They weren't Draco or anything. I knew that, but they were like, they could have been reptilian. I don't know what they were, but they weren't like, there's a lot of reptilian species out there. So, but they were working on me, and like Michael was there, Archangel Michael, and he was just like, just chill out, let them do what they need to do. Like, you're going to be fine. They were working on my heart chakra, working on my guts. And my guts were actually vibrating while they were working, which was crazy. I was like, is this really happening? And I was like, yeah, this is crazy. But yeah, it's been very interesting. I think we're just being pulled farther into what we are. And I just think that one thing I've said, it's like that video about positivity. I'm seeing so many people be negative. So if everyone's negative, then it just sends out a vibration to everyone else. I've noticed social media has gotten really negative lately, like the last 6 months, but it's going to feed that energy. Like, it's just going to keep feeding it. Of course, not everyone's going to be positive, but it's like everyone has, you look at just comments on a social media post. It could be MMA. I watch that stuff. So it's like everyone is just brutal. And it's like, when does a pendulum swing? Yeah. It's an unpopular comment, but like elections in the United States. I don't vote, so I don't really have a pig in that fight or dog in that fight or whatever. I'd say pig. But the point is that the pendulum swings this way. And now we have all this going on. I'm not saying in the world, but it's a lot different. So I know this is going to piss off a lot of political people. But the pendulum always swings back and forth. Like, we got this society where you're not supposed to upset people, but everyone's doing it online because it's not in real life. Okay. So the pendulum always swings back and forth, back and forth, back and forth with everything. So it's like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, who am I hanging out with right now? Like, who's around me that's been negative? So I have to really be mindful of who I have around me right now. Because I'm like, I'm in a like a tender, vulnerable spot. So I'm like, do I want this to influence me? Do I need to keep this person a little bit over here, and
Mm,
like a little bit more over here, and then
mm,
this person a little closer? Because it's going to affect like how I'm thinking. So, yeah, I mean, if you were to watch the same social media posts, they all said the world was going to end or it was political, you would probably believe that because I see that with people all the time.
mm. And I've seen the odd post. I mean, I don't necessarily spend much time on social media. I used to spend a lot more than I used to do now, watching TikToks and everything. But it's about, I think it's about being aware about what you're watching and how long you spend watching it.
Yeah.
And I saw one the other day that said it's only it was maybe a couple of weeks ago. It said it's only been 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the year, and it listed all the stuff that's already happened. And I thought, well, and I said, if this has already happened, then what's the rest of the year going to be like? And I'm thinking, well, is it the fact that a lot of stuff's happened, or is it just the fact that we're more aware of what's happening and this stuff has always gone on? But
Yeah. Yeah.
so I feel like it's more of that, because things are always happening in the world. It's not as if there's been any time in history, or I mean, we don't know necessarily. I don't necessarily believe what the history that we're told, but it strikes me that then there's not necessarily a time in history where the whole world was just quiet and there was nothing going on. There's always something going on. Admittedly, there's probably more chaos around over the world, rather than just in certain areas, which there probably was. But yeah, it's like we like to highlight everything that's happening, which obviously then means that based on sort of the understanding of where energy flows, all of that stuff, it creates more of that in a sense. So I don't know whether they're I'm sort of going backwards and forwards between, do we just ignore it all, or do we pay attention to it, and just be neutral to get towards it, no reacting? It's kind of I find that we got to find a balance,
I
to
think
be
we have to
aware
be
of what's
neutral.
going on, but not necessarily get involved in it. And I think that's probably more towards it. But I
Yeah,
don't, you know.
I think it's the neutrality of it because we literally have a million news reporters now.
Mm, yeah.
Like, and it's not controlled. So it's like, even on social media, it's like whatever you watch is tailored to what you watch. Now,
Mm,
could they be pushing certain content? Sure.
mm,
Um, and if people start getting worried, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like the light's already won. I remember, I'm sure you heard this back in the day, like the light's already won. Like there's
mm,
nothing to worry about.
mm.
And I always found this so funny because everyone was like, this is the great awakening. And I'm
Mm.
like, you don't think darkness is coming with this? Like it's going to be like awakening spiritual. I'm sure you went through it too, Jimmy, but the spiritual process of like awakening is like
Mm,
crazy.
mm,
Like you got to see stuff you don't want to see and then stuff you do want to see. And then you
mm,
got to refine yourself and it could happen, it could happen so many different ways. So for each person. So
mm,
like, it's like one thing of that is the news that's I don't want to get too political, but like with Russia and stuff.
mm,
So Tucker Carlson went to Russia and he's interviewing Putin.
mm,
The last time he tried this, I think he was with like Fox News or whatever before they fired him. And I think it was the best thing to do to ever fire that guy because he went off the rails. Like he's like, I no longer have to listen to you guys. I do whatever I want.
mm,
So he goes, so like Europe's trying to sanction him. And I'm like, how are you going to sanction this guy? Like, what are you
mm,
going to do to him? He's already a millionaire. Like, he's got
mm,
hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, who cares?
mm,
Um, but he's like, I'm going there and I'm going to do an unedited interview. I want to
mm,
know the truth.
mm,
And like people in the United States trying to stop him, like government people. But I'm like, to me, that's like the light, regardless of what you think about Russia. Um, I want to hear what he has to say.
Mm. Yeah.
Like, I'm interested genuinely to see what Putin has to say.
Mm.
If it's unedited, it's all free form. And
Mm.
I'm sure a lot of social media accounts of him will take it down. But it's like Elon Musk is like, he's not, Tucker's like, Elon Musk's Twitter's not going to take this down. Like,
Mm.
it's going to be free flowing. You go to my website, you can watch it. Like, not a big deal.
Mm.
And then what people will do is they'll grab it and they'll cut it up and they'll just throw it all over social media until it goes viral. Like
Yeah.
like Cat Williams did.
Mm.
So I just think people need to know what the reality of the world is, because I feel like these wars and news and everything, whatever that reality is, I don't know. But
Mm.
whatever that is, it's like we need access to that information, because the narrative's always slanted in different ways. And I
Mm.
don't know how it's slanted.
Mm.
But I just want to see both sides of a discussion.
Mm. Yeah, you want to see the unedited version. You don't want to see them cherry picked, sort of same bitten interview that doesn't have that doesn't represent someone's meaning or words. You know, whether they're staged or whatever, you don't know. I mean, who knows who's on what side, or even
Yeah.
if there is sides. You know, people. I'm sure there are people who think that Putin is a good guy, that people think is a bad guy. He's working for the whatever, you know, um the I don't know, the elites or whatever you call them.
Yeah.
Um
Sure
and
they are.
there's some who think that is going against them, but I mean, who really knows, apart from those who are actually, if there is something going on, those who are sort of controlling it. But um it's funny about the news, because obviously the news is a way to control the narrative, control what people think, control what people do. And there's a radio station. I'm not sure if you have it in the States, but there's a radio station that, and I don't normally listen to radio. It's on in the background. Someone else has it on, but one of their features is you can pay to not have any ads during the while you're listening to the radio, but you can't pay not that subscription that you make to their station. And it's quite a popular station. That doesn't include not having the news, because their thing is the news is too important. And I'm thinking, yeah, of course it's important, because that's how everyone is controlled by what they think. And so they're not going to let people get away with not listening to the news, because that's their sort of their mouthpiece for
Yeah.
for how they program everyone's, well, not everyone's, because some people are immune to it, but how they program everyone's mind, basically.
I can go to 5 different people, Jimmy,
Mm.
and ask them the same exact question. I will get 5 different answers
Mm.
about a political topic. I do this just to see how they'll react,
Mm.
because I want to see like the consensus
Mm.
of like what people think. So like I go to one friend, I'll ask them. I go to my father, and then I'll go over here, and I'll go over here, and I'll go over here, and I'll just ask them what they think. And
Mm.
just it's like totally different.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Did it?
I had
Does
a
it?
guy. I had a guy. Let me just say this. I had someone ask me on my live on TikTok about who I thought would win the presidential election, and I said who I thought it would win, because I was like, here's the problem. If I answer you, I'm effed
Mm.
if I, and I'm effed if I don't. You just want my psychic opinion.
Mm.
So I told him, and the guy was like, you need to go get more educated. And I was like, getting more educated about being a psychic prediction doesn't make any sense. I was like, this is what I see happening. Like, this is what I see happening. So, and I found it very interesting. So I was like, yeah.
Something that I know what you mean, that is interesting, and something that I've kind of noticed more recently. The people who tell someone they need to be more educated is the people, the person who says that someone needs to be more educated is because they don't agree with what the other person is saying. And so someone doesn't like the fact that someone's not agreeing with them, so they say they need to be educated in order to agree. It's almost like saying you need to go away and read research and be more educated so you can agree with me. That's basically what I understand that to be. Because I mean, everyone needs to be educated. I mean, it depends what you mean by education. Because, and it depends what kind of education, because I don't feel as if the education that we actually have and that we actually learn when we're at school is worth anything, really, to be honest. You just need to learn how to read and write and maybe do maths, even though I've got doubts about maths anyway. But you just need to learn to read and write, and that's it. And you see loads of successful people, or loads of people who have made their own way in life and got successful businesses, etc., and have families and all of that haven't gone to school and been indoctrinated into the education system. So yeah, it's funny. I find that you need to be educated line. It's like it's like, I can't change your mind, so you go away and change yours, and then come back to me when you agree with me, sort of thing.
And you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, right?
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a super successful guy. So he's been around for a while. And he was like, when I was in high school, I literally, like, I never did any homework. Every test I got, I would just, if it was multiple choice, I just put A, B, C, D, E, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. And the guy's like a multi-millionaire. He's like, I realized at a certain point they were just pushing me. I think his mother somebody was in the administration. They were just pushing him through. But they don't teach you like life skills. That's my thing about it. I'm like, okay, so let's say you wanted to learn how to do a bunch of different things. Yeah, teach you math and English and everything else. Teach all those things. But at the same time, like, teach about like how to do like woodworking and car mechanics and
farming
and run a business.
Yeah, exactly.
It's making slave labor is what I feel.
Yeah, totally. I know what
they're
you
making
mean.
slave labor. That's all they're doing. So, and I'm like, real life skills.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Right, just say hello. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing, brother? Skylar, Jessica, Sophia. Hey, Kerry. Kerry says she's just about to home ed Sophia. That's awesome, Kerry. A lot of that came up earlier. Actually, I was in the office where I work. People were talking about homeschooling, so I think a lot more people are willing to consider that and going to do that, which is great. So, hey Tanya, hey Gail. We're not doing readings or healing, Lisa, and Tanya. This is just our podcast. We're just talking. But Thomas, are you on TikTok later? Or
yeah, I'll be on TikTok tonight, probably around like 8 p.m.
Thomas
Eastern.
On TikTok later. Tanya and Lisa, if you wanna check him out. We had some. I did have a question actually. Oh, Fufi had a question. She says, I'll put it on screen. Actually, before I do that, I'll just shout out to Skylar. She wrote something really nice. I'll let you read it.
This is actually something I've been getting a lot of lately. Because last night I went live with one of my mods, and I think it's the second time I'm live. He did really, really good. I knew he would.
Was that Jake?
Yeah, Jake. So like people were saying that in the feed, and I was like, I had this idea months ago. I was like, why don't I just bring men onto when I go live? Like, no offense to the women at all, but I've had a lot of women. I was like, why don't I? I'm like, we're so misrepresented, or so there's not a lot of us out there. So like doing spiritual work. So I'm like, why not just keep bringing men on? I have Luke on Friday at like 5 p.m. Eastern on TikTok.
Oh, cool.
So like, I'm just like, why don't we have men come? Like, because it's like, I feel like it's needed. There's a balance.
Mm.
There's no offense to women at all. I mean,
No.
at all. But yeah, it's just like, why not? It provides a different perspective.
Yeah, totally. I think different perspectives are definitely what's called for. Hey, Ada. And not all men are egotistical narcissists and, you know, all of that kind of stuff.
I heard that 34% of the population are narcissists. They're on the spectrum of being a narcissist,
Oh,
like the
really?
autism spectrum. And I was like,
Oh.
34%.
Mm.
Someone asked me this yesterday, or they were talking to me. And I was like, sometimes when I'm reading, they're like, my boyfriend's a narcissist. And I want to go, are you sure you're not the narcissist? Like, because in my head, I'm like, wait a minute, it takes two people here to make a relationship work. So you both got to like play the game here.
It's easy to label someone, and sometimes it's just projection, isn't it? We sometimes we label someone else what we are just because we don't see it for ourselves, and so it's almost like they're a representation of us. And so we see them, and then because I always, if I'm thinking about calling something or labeling something or calling someone something or judging or what have you, I think, well, hold on a second, before I do that, am I doing what I'm perceiving someone else to be doing? And then I'll kind of run it through the filter, you know, run it and be, you have to be totally honest with yourself when you do that. Obviously, you can't absolve yourself of all responsibility or anything. And you can be. I heard someone said was watching a video and they mentioned about people becoming professional victims, as in blaming everyone and everything on everyone else other than themselves. And it's almost like, yeah, well, he's not far off the mark, to be honest with you.
I mean, how did you get there in the first place? That's what I'm going to say. How did you get there in the first place? If you went back and tracked everything that happened in your life, how did you get there? You had to make a decision.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that I've learned most in the last 3 or 4 years probably is just taking responsibility and trying to see what the outside world is showing to make you realize it within yourself and your own behavior, so as to not be a hypocrite, because I see that a lot as well. And so you try really hard not to be that hypocritical, do as I say, not as I do kind of person, and calling someone something when you're doing it yourself. And I mean, if you know people want to do that, then that's fine. I mean, you know, I used to do it, but become acutely aware of that those times, and then it's only when obviously you become aware of it that you can do something about it. And so, before I speak or act, I think, well, you really interrogate yourself as to your actions, and are your words are they hypocritical? Are they a representation of who you truly are? And are you being kind of two-faced insofar as you're having a go at someone for doing something that you do yourself? And because that doesn't feel right to me to do that. You have to, that's going back to sort of authenticity, like what you were saying, being authentic. So
yeah, I mean, we talked about that before. Like, the vibration of authenticity is 400 times stronger than the vibration of love. Because it used to irritate me so much when everyone's like, you have to live from a heart-centered place. You have to do this. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go again. Especially like 6 years ago when I was on Facebook. I'd be like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm seeing all these people. I can read them. Like, you telling me they're all operating from a center of love. Anyways, so, I mean, I've seen a lot of spiritual creators that don't seem to be operating from that source either. But the point is that people are people, and it's it's like, as you said, it's like victimhood. So it's
Mm,
like you can say the whole world's crashing because of everyone else, but what did you do to get yourself out of that?
mm, yeah,
Like, what choices did you make to shift that? I mean,
mm,
I've had to look back in my life and go, man, I gave up some opportunities. Like, knew I could have gotten Coast to Coast AM, which is a massive radio show. I think part of them run Gaia. And I turned it down. I had a surefire way in like 2 years ago.
yeah,
And I was like, well, maybe I wasn't ready, but maybe I was. I know
mm,
with me, it's like half the time I don't even want to come on camera, but as soon as I come on camera, I'm fine.
yeah. I know what
So
you mean. A bit
yeah,
like
so
that.
I'm like, I just should have went on the show, and regardless of what happened, I just sort of went with
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it,
totally.
you know.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Teresa. Um, hey, Karen. Oh, a question. Yes, hold on a second. Let me find it again because Fufi had a question, and I'm not. Well, there you go. Do you or anyone else have a response, an answer to
I
that?
don't
Because I've
know
never.
what is Skyquake.
I don't know.
I can look it up.
You're not talking about
Oh,
the sort of the funny shaped clouds and stuff that we're seeing now.
oh, is that what it is? I don't know what a Skyquake is.
I don't know. I've never heard of it. And then Barb says, "Is that Vedic astrology? Do you know about
Uh,
Vedic astrology?"
yeah, I know I'm master number 22 in Vedic.
All right.
Not normal astrology, but Vedic. I know a little bit about it. Not a
Mm,
lot. I'm not an astrologist. I
mm,
never. It interests me, but it doesn't interest me because I have people that know a lot more than me,
mm,
and I can go to them and be like, "Just run it for me and tell me what I need to know."
mm.
So, but
Yeah.
the Vedic, I know I'm a 22. Like I'm a mass a double 11.
Mm,
Um, but I don't know, I've had people run gene keys on me, all kinds of
mm,
stuff. I don't
mm,
really understand it though. I really don't. But a skyquake, I just think there's stuff. Edgar Casey talked about that there would be a shift in the Earth in between, like, I think it was, I don't know if it was like 1990 and 2090.
mm,
Lately, we have like a great rift in Africa. That's like the
mm.
land's dividing. It's like
Oh
a foot
yeah. Mm, yeah.
big, and then we
Yeah.
have all these other things happening. So I wasn't really surprised when I saw these things. I don't know. It's like when 9/11 happened, Jimmy. I don't
Mm,
know. Maybe I'm crazy. But
mm,
I woke up that day. My roommates woke me up at like 11. I was working like 2 to 11, so I'd stay up really late.
mm,
And or like 3 to 11 as a
mm,
weather channel. And they woke me up and they're like, "You got to come watch this." And I looked at it for like 10 minutes and I was like, "Okay, I'm not surprised."
mm,
This stuff happens. And everyone all day, like I was like, I'm gonna go out because I know no one's out right now.
mm.
So I'm gonna go shop. So I'm driving around like there's no traffic. I'm like, this is beautiful.
Mm,
And I'm like going to record stores and buying records and doing all kinds of things. And I get back and they're still in front of the TV like 5 hours later. And
mm,
I'm like, it's just me though, I guess. But I was like, I don't know. This all feels like BS to me. I'm not just
mm,
disrespecting it in any way, shape, or form, or the
mm,
people who lost their lives. I'm just saying that I feel like there's something else going on here,
mm.
and I
I'll just
wasn't psychic back then. So like
mm,
I was like,
mm.
there's something else going on here. There's some underlying thing that's
Yeah.
people or government or whatever. I don't know. Who knows what government? But
Mm,
yeah, I was just like, I don't know. It's like
yeah.
whatever.
Mm,
I'm okay. I'm over here.
mm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I see
not
what you mean.
disrespecting it. Just yeah, I was just like my intuition was just like,
Mm. It was
um,
staged,
yeah. I felt
but
maybe it was staged. I
yeah.
wasn't sure at the time, but I was like, something here doesn't feel right.
Mm,
So I was like, I'll go out. Let me
mm.
go eat somewhere. And
Although it's strange because you feel like there's a lot of staged events, but then the loss of life isn't staged. You know,
yeah,
it's almost like if they're going to do these stage events, it's like they don't care that people are going to lose their lives, because people indubitably do. Um,
so I'm
because
so interested to hear the thing about Putin in Ukraine.
mm,
because I know a lot of the news is shifted from what actually is happening. So
Mm.
I'm like, I just want to hear what he has to say. I may not agree with it, but I want to hear what he has to say. So yeah.
Fufi says the sky quakes are sounds that come from the sky, loud shaking sounds all over the world. And then Kerry says sky quake is a phenomenon where a loud banging sound is reported to originate from the sky. I haven't heard them. I don't know whether my ears are just not sensitive
No,
enough.
I haven't seen them.
No, I don't know what they are, to be honest with you.
No.
Maybe it's the dome above us cracking. I don't know.
Yeah. There's so many theories, just on the Earth, which I find interesting.
Mm.
Hollow
Yeah.
Earth, flat Earth. There's so many different things.
Mm.
Like I don't know which one's right. So
I don't
like,
either.
I was like, does it affect my everyday life? No. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like I'm not going to Antarctica, so I can tell you that. I already tried that one. Bilocated there. Got hit by some government people or government ladies shot a big energy bolt at me. So I told that story before. But yeah, I was like, oh, I'm not going near Antarctica. So until someone actually gets there and looks, I don't know what to think.
Yeah,
I want someone to map out Asgard. I want them just to fly over Asgard and other countries and just map it out. That's what I want to.
Well, there are maps of like the land beyond
Yeah.
the Antarctica, isn't there?
I want to see a video. So
There's
like when Miami had the aliens, okay, and I'm not comparing this to flat Earth at all. I don't have an opinion. So, sorry, the car alarm's going off. So, when Miami had the aliens, I was like, you're in a shopping mall and there are 8-foot tall beings walking around, and there is no one with a cell phone camera.
Yeah, how does that make any sense? Yeah,
like, I would be just like hide with my phone, like filming. I go viral.
Yeah, like we were saying a couple of weeks ago, there would be live stream. People would be live streaming, and people would be capturing it and saving it, so that if it got taken down, you think nothing makes it. It doesn't make any sense at all because people would pay out their phones to film anything, especially if there was unless they were paralyzed or they had the Men in Black treatment or whatever. I don't know, but
it's just theory. Yeah, but I'm like, how are you going to get all those people? That's what I have to. How are you going to get all those people? And how are they even going to get? I'm hearing how are they even going to get in the doors? Like walking through, like they're walking down the road to get into the parking lot, and they're walking inside. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
But it'd been all right if they were in Tartaria, because they had 8-foot, 9-foot, 10-foot doors. So
someone think Trump's son is from Tartaria. I saw a video on that because he's like 6'7".
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a descendant of Tartaria. I don't know.
And there's that book in there written by someone, I can't remember who it was, and about Baron von Trump or something like that. I don't know. Kerry says, I feel there are more beings in the sea. Yeah, definitely.
I think there are too. They're already down there. So it's I've seen plenty of military reports or like seen videos of them at least. And I think I've heard people talk about it.
Sorry. Have you ever read, or has anyone ever read The Ladder in the Middle of the Ocean? I think that's what it's called. But it's supposed to be a true story, like a true account of someone's. They found this ladder, or the top sort of, I don't know, top half of it, maybe a couple of foot or something. I don't know. I've never seen it, but it was just a picture on the cover. It's only a short book, but it's a true account, supposedly, of someone who, when they found this ladder in the middle of the ocean, I don't know whether it was I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was in the ocean somewhere, and someone, a diver, went down the ladder. He had this special breathing apparatus on where it meant he could breathe indefinitely because it was recycling. The water was it sort of transformed the water into oxygen or something like that, so he could breathe indefinitely. And so they found this ladder and he went down, and he basically wrote about his sort of the exploration and the things that happened as he was climbing down this ladder. And he talks about mermaids and everything, and mermaids not being what we think that they are, the lovely, the lovely looking sort of mermaids.
You have like big vicious teeth.
Yeah. That's what he said, and they were really aggressive, and there was these other big fish. I don't know if they were sharks or whatever, but yeah, he kind of got to the bottom of the ocean, and I don't want to say too much in just case anyone wants to read it, but there was this. He found this almost like this city, I think, and he eventually came back up to the surface, I think, or they went looking for him because it had been a while, and he'd been down there for 2 years or something like that.
Space time thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I found it really interesting, Kerry. Like the other supposedly true story about them going into the hollow earth, going below the Earth's surface, which is called the Smoky God. I think that's only a short one, like the ladder in the middle of the ocean. But the Smoky God is another one about a father and son who are sailing, and that they eventually, I can't remember how they get there, but they find this opening to the center of the middle, the lower underground of the earth. And they talk about this, instead of having a sun like us, that's bright and luminous, the sun below the earth's surface is almost like smoky, kind of black, charcoaly, I think it was. Basically, Nibiru, which is like the black sun. And you've heard of Nibiru, have you?
Yeah, Anunnaki.
Yeah. And there's even speculation that the projection of Nibiru below creates the sun and the moon above. So, well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean,
there's so many stories. So it's like psychics have gone into the earth. I mean, told to be careful what I say, but psychics going into the earth and seeing certain things, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on down there. I'm hearing it be interesting when people start to really see the truth. That's what I'm hearing. Whatever that truth is, I don't know what that is, but I've been looking at this with psychics. So I'll watch one psychic, and then I'll watch this other person. There's this one lady promoting demon magic, and she doesn't believe in demon magic. She has a lot of viewers. She doesn't believe in demons, but she believes in demons. I'm like, that makes no sense to me. But I just want to watch it because I'm interested to see what she has to say. And then I'll see this other person say this, and this other person say this, and I'm like, where's the truth in all this?
Yeah.
You can only go by what your truth is. So, yeah. There's another creator I watch, and she's convinced there's no such thing as demons. So, she'll always be pulling out books to prove her point. And I'm like, so you're pulling out someone else's opinion to prove your point?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, that's someone else's opinion.
Yeah, I was like, that doesn't make that. Look at this book and look at this. I'm like, that doesn't make it. When was that book written? 10 years ago? I told her, I was like, why don't you? I made a video because I saw she had made a video. I think we poke at each other sometimes. So it's all in fun. But I made a video and I go, okay, so if demons don't exist, can someone please disprove Edgar Casey? That's all I need you to do. Disprove Edgar Casey. Disprove the Warrens, all the Conjuring movies. Go disprove those people. Like, if you're so good at it, just disprove them. I want you to go to the same exact locations as the Warrens, because some of these places are still extremely haunted. I want you to turn out the lights and film it, and just sit in there and see what happens. They're never going to do it. They're like, Thomas might be right. I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah. It requires effort to sort of, unless you're willing to put in the required effort to
Yeah.
either prove or disprove something. It's easy to say, oh yeah, this is the truth or that's the truth or whatever, because it's just someone else's opinion. At the
Yeah,
end of the day.
I got into it with a woman on Facebook. She's very Christian, and I was just like, okay, well, come on camera with me and let's disprove it. Like
Mm,
whatever. Well, I was like, not even disprove it. Like, let's have a discussion about it.
mm,
So, and she was like, I think it was about witchcraft and the Bible, and she brought up the Old Testament,
mm,
and I was like, well, didn't Jesus come in to form a new covenant according to your Christianity?
mm,
When he came in, the Old Testament's nullified.
mm,
And but anyway, she just kept going, kept quoting scripture. I was like, I'm asking for your opinion. I'm not asking you for to quote scripture. I can quote scripture too.
yeah.
But then she was like, I was like, let's just get you on camera, and like silence. Then the next person starts going after me. I'm like, let's
Mm,
get you on camera. I don't have time to comment with you. Let's get
mm,
you on silence.
mm.
So
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's
yeah,
what I thought.
yeah. I know exactly. And I won't say his name, but you remember I mentioned to you a few weeks ago about a creator on TikTok who did something, was putting things into people. Remember I
Yep.
told you, and you said, oh, so and so. Kerry's just mentioned them, but there was a creator's live title was, whatever what it was. And she says, I feel it's wrong to be playing with all this stuff, and TikTok is going nuts. And yeah, I don't know why it's promoting stuff like that.
Well, I mean, they promote everything else, so it's
Mm,
like I know exactly who you're talking about.
yeah.
Many people message me about this creator. I'm like, I don't have an opinion. I learned a long time ago I should just keep my mouth shut. If people message me about other creators and they'll be like, "What do you think?" I go, obviously, I already know what I think, but I'm like, I don't have an opinion.
Mm,
And they're like, "What?" I'm like, I don't want, I don't need shade from whatever that person's doing.
and it's like you're basically saying make up your own mind. Instead of
Yeah.
asking for someone else's opinion, so you can parrot that. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's not the only reason we ask for people's opinions, so we can copy what they say, because sometimes we don't agree with what they say, and it's good to have different perspectives, and because then you can obviously I feel like the more perspectives and view and sort of ways of looking at things you can have, you can sort of better make up your own mind about what you feel it resonates, if you like. So, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's about
I mean,
sort
if
of
people can get on there and dance and you
mm,
gift them the dance, or if people can get on there and I've seen people I just don't totally agree with at all, but I watch them just to
mm,
look at the patterns of what they're doing, or just to try to understand why they're doing it. I look at it and I'm just like, well, it doesn't make total sense to me. I don't
mm,
agree with it, but that's their thing.
mm,
What I'm wondering is why this guy hasn't been taken down. Honestly, I know exactly who you're talking about. I
mm,
blocked him the second I saw him. Like the second
mm,
time I saw him, I was like, block. I don't need this on my feed ever again.
mm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
so I was just like, why? How is he not being taken down?
Mm,
Um, but I was like, it's up to TikTok. It has
mm,
nothing to do with me.
mm. Totally. Hey, Donna. Jessica says exactly. If you could,
Yeah, I have a lot of impersonators. ThomasSawyer.com _ 3.0. I have about 5,000 something followers. I think 5.2. Skyla, how you'll know is that there won't be any watermarks on the videos. So I'm going to say this because I'm sure there's some scammers watching, but eventually maybe not on Facebook. But these idiots don't know how to take watermarks off videos, and it's so easy. They always have watermarks. Like I've seen like one or two that haven't, maybe three, maybe
mm,
four, but out of like hundreds.
mm,
Plus I turned off the download video feature. So they have to download my video or screen record it. And if it's screen recorded, it's not going to look right. And then, because I've seen them do this with lives.
mm,
And then, like, it's always going to have a TikTok watermark when you play the video. So it's going to say TikTok in the wrong places.
mm.
But yeah. I have thomassawyer.com, but I had that so long, I still have it. The problem is that I've been infracted so many times, and TikTok can never prove I've done anything. I can't get a hold of it. So I was like, I have to make another page.
Mm.
Then when I got suspended for a month, I was like, I guess I'm supposed to abandon this page and make a new one. But everyone's got so many impersonators.
Mm.
It's like when I post my stuff to Facebook, I just take off the watermarks.
Mm.
It's not that hard to do. I mean, I don't know how people have figured this out.
Hey Jake, sorry, I didn't realize you were watching because on StreamYard it just comes up as Facebook user. But Jake, yeah, I've just seen his comment about that the book of that someone named Baron Trump who travels through time. Yeah, that book that I was telling you about earlier, mentioned about Baron Trump, where he travels through time and I don't know, saves humanity or whatever it is.
Yeah. He took Nikola Tesla's technology and started working on it.
Says that's Jake, by the way.
Yeah, they're too dumb to figure it out. That is true. They're too dumb to take off the watermarks. I think the problem really going to become with TikTok. I think they'll have to do something about the scammers when they take off the watermark. They figure it out. I'm like, you haven't figured this out in 2 years. Like I'll friend somebody, I'll follow some creator that has like 100,000 people, and immediately I'll get like 15 people friend me. And I'll follow them back just to see what they'll say to me. And they'll be like, I see your energy and your reading, and what's your astrology sign? And I'm like, oh my God. It's so much better on Facebook because they're doing it on Facebook too. So like with Facebook, I can at least leave them voice messages. What I tell them when I get a scam, because I don't message people for that kind of stuff. Like I'm very hesitant to even answer a TikTok message unless I know who the person is. So one person that they messaged me, and I answer them back. But sometimes what I tell people on lives I go is when these scammers message you, ask them what your grandparents' body count is. See if they can answer you. They're never going to know what you're saying because they're in like Nigeria. But I'm like, yeah, just go be like, how many people did my grandparents sleep with? You tell me that.
Kerry Kerry says she gets that plus the request to be her sugar daddy. I don't know. I didn't get any of those requests.
Yeah, that might be a good deal. Maybe I could do a side hustle, get a sugar mama. I talked to that to my friend. I was like, maybe that's a good side hustle.
Oh, hey, Len. Glenn's just popped on. Well, it's been just over an hour.
Yeah, we're good.
I feel like, Len, we're just about to sign off, actually. But thanks for popping on. I think that's it. I think we covered everything. We had a question about the skyquakes, which we didn't really. Len, do you know anything about skyquakes? Hey, Darlene. Skylar says, I've had some people message me as you or Ingrid and made them give me a reading for free because I convinced them I already paid for my reading.
Were they any good? That's what I want to know.
Hi, Kerry. Hey, Gail. I don't know. I figured that they wouldn't, that they don't actually do readings because they're really interested in us being paid, and then they just sod off, sort of thing.
Well, I had one person, and I feel like it was actually legit. I don't know how she fell for this. She was a psychiatrist, but she said someone messaged them, and she paid them $700, and I was like, my name on my account is thomassawyer.com. This was like 9 months ago. I was like, why would I be messaging you? So I gave her like a free class, and I think that's all I ever heard from her. But I was like, $700. Maybe I'm in the wrong business. Maybe I should Maybe I should set up a scammer site.
So-
Not that I would do that, but I'm just like, this is crazy.
$700 for a reading. Bloody hell.
Because they kept saying she was possessed and stuff, and they needed
Oh.
that's there's psychics that do that, man. I know we're about to go, but there's psychics that do that. So they see someone and then they say they got something wrong with them, and then they start charging like thousands and thousands of dollars.
Mm,
I've seen this happen with quite a few people. It's just inauthentic to me. So
yeah, totally. Len says he got fooled when he first got an Instagram. I'm not on Instagram, so I don't know what goes on there. But I've been like do crypto stuff before. What's it? The pyramid schemes and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah, there's so much there. There's so many scams. Even regular creators are doing scams. I'll see one guy selling a course for like 3,000. Then another creator will be like, "I give you the course," and he just makes videos on how to do the course. It's like basic knowledge stuff. Like it's not a big thing. So yeah, I've seen spiritual people, even I don't want to name names, even on Facebook that are really big, and like I've had people take their classes, and it's like, I was like, "Did you learn anything?" They're like, "Nope," and they paid like $1,000 for it, and I'm like, "Yeah, what I thought." So.
Well, I suppose. Right, I think that's it, brother.
Yeah, we are complete.
Thank you.
I do have a class this Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's emotional healing, aligning chakras, relieving stress, bring you more into your authentic state. It's on thomassawyer.com, my website. It's at Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Excellent. Right, thank you, everyone. And if anyone is in the south of England, specifically Sussex, I will be at Haven Days Festival on Sunday afternoon. Well, sort of late morning, afternoon. I'll be there. I've got a stall doing a bit of sound healing. It's Haven Days run by my good friend Deb Parrott. And so if anyone's in the UK and wants to come along, then it'd be good to see you.
There we go.
And thank you, everyone. And we'll see you again next week.
Bye-bye.
Au revoir.